Okay, ladies and gents, this is now part 4 of my how to create an Easter basket in Xara, and we're going to talk about how to create the basket weaving, the actual weave in and out of the basket. If I go back to my original drawing, more or less this, yeah? I'm going to do something a little bit better than that this time, I think. But the first thing I'm going to do is something that's going to help me out with that. I'm going to go ahead and draw a line something like this and go ahead and make it bend more or less the same way as this curve does right here on the edge, right? I want to create that line just like that, and I'm going to go ahead and change that to the selector tool. I'm going to press Control and the K button to clone it. Then I'm going to go over here to the flip horizontally button and flip it. And then I'm going to hold down the Shift key and the right arrow key and move it all the way over to the other side until it's kind of almost at the same distance away from this end as that one was. Maybe it's not quite. There you go. That looks pretty close. Now I'm going to, with this one selected, I'm going to hold down the Control key and select the other one as well so that I have both of them selected. And I'm going to go to this tool right here, which is the blend tool, or by pressing W on your keyboard. And I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, both of them are selected. I'm going to click at the base point of one, and I'm going to drag all the way over to the base point of the other one until I get that check mark next to the cursor, or tick mark as the Brits say. And once I release that, I'm going to get a blend from one to the other. And what these are going to serve as are guidelines, more or less, for what I want to show. And I'm going to go ahead and nudge that down just ever so slightly. And I can even take this and press Control X and select my guides layer and press Control Shift V, and they would show up as guidelines on there, but only the first and end one, which doesn't help me a whole lot. So I'm going to just go ahead and undo that and keep them back out like that. Okay? So, I mean, I could have broken them apart and made them individual shapes and stuff like the individual lines and made them show up on the guidelines layer, but it doesn't really matter. This is just something temporary for me to know where the ribs are in the basket, so for making the hatching, or the weaving, sorry. Next, I'm going to go ahead and create a couple more lines. I'm going to go ahead and draw a guideline down so I get it more or less in the same place on both ends. So I'm going to go ahead and at the end of the basket on one end, I'm going to make a mark, and the end of the basket on the other end make a mark, and that should draw a line, which I've done now on the guidelines layer, which is just completely silly because I had it still selected. So I'm going to say Control X and then move to the mouse off layer again, Control Shift V. Now I've got it on the mouse off layer. If I hadn't shown you that before, that wouldn't have happened, so don't worry about it too much. I'm going to change my selector tool from the selector tool back to the shape editor tool, and I'm going to bend this down a little bit so that it kind of follows the curve of the upper part of this basket. And then I'm going to take one more guideline layer, or one more guideline, and pull it down, and I'm going to do more or less the same thing. I'm going to press Escape so I don't continue this line on the shape editor tool. And I'm going to go ahead and on one end, I'm going to click here and click there on the other end and use my shape editor tool to bend that down just a touch. I don't like where the first one is, so I'm going to nudge it up a little bit. It seems a bit low. I'm going to go ahead and nudge it out a little bit. So you can just play with this a little bit. Don't worry about this too much if they extend over the sides, because I'm going to use the clip view later to clean that up. All right. The other thing that I want to do is I'm not entirely happy with the color because I don't want black lines here. So I'm going to go ahead and apply a line color to this. And I'm going to give it a bigger size as well. Let's give it a 4 pixel width, yeah. And we'll give it a nice, we're going to go ahead with the same kind of pink color that we were using before. I'm going to set the line color to that pink, yeah. I'm going to do the exact same thing here. Change it to a 4 pixel line, and set the line color to that pink. Okay, now comes the interesting part with the ribs. Yeah. So this is just showing kind of the space in between, and I could do that a different color and make it, you know, make it a darker color if I wanted to. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of whatever you think is good. But for the ribs, I'm going to go ahead and follow along. Hold on. Now that everything is not selected, I'm going to go ahead and follow along this guideline here more or less. Make it curve around like that. And I'm going to give it something quite a bit bigger. Let's go at least 8. And we're going to go with a line or a stroke profile here, and we're going to go something along that shape. Yeah, which was, I'll go back to it, is this one right here, which is called the ellipse shape. Okay, it's the one right underneath the constant normally. Okay, so I'm going to put one there and go back to my shape editor tool, press escape, and I'm going to do another one here. Yeah, that looks okay. Press escape again, and then I'm going to alternate how I do that, right? I'm going to go ahead and move this out a little bit, try and get it to line up with this rib there. There we go. Press escape and continue to do this all the way around my basket. Yeah. Basically skipping every other one, because the way these work, right, you go over and under, over and under. So that's what we're trying to work at here. So I'm going to go ahead and each time I'm pressing escape so that I don't have it selected anymore. Every time I start a new line, basically. There we go. All right, now if I were to go ahead and take my guidelines and delete them, there you go, you get your ribbing of the basket. That was pretty much it that I wanted to show you on that particular tutorial. I know that took kind of a lot longer than it kind of needed to. I hope you found it interesting and useful, and we'll come back next time with the handle for the basket.